Okay, we're going to go into Module 2, which is Get to Work of the Toolkit. We're going to nail some of the myths about theology and look at various branches of Bible study. I think, having looked at this again and prepared these set of notes, that this has become for me, there I'm saying it, one of the most useful understandings of how we use theology. If you can see theology and the various departments of theology, you'll see the value of how that works. Then theology starts to open up. So in engineering, you have civil engineering, you have structural engineering, you have chemical engineering. They're all different disciplines, but they all do something of that. In theology, we have all these different departments of theology. And if you could just get a basic handle on what you're working on, you have a great tool in preparing your theology and getting your theology ready. So page 51, we talk about nailing theology. And the word theology comes from theologa or logia. It's theos is God and logos is word. So people don't like the word theology, but that's really all it means. It's words about God or God's word. Historically, theology was something only those in the community of faith could do because it was about knowing God. It was only later that it came to be given the name given to systematic academic study. And just to say this, in terms of theology, it was called the queen of the sciences. In other words, you were expected to do 3 years at least of theology before you did any other discipline. Because how can you know morality? How can you know ethics? How can you even know how to engage languages unless you've done the languages, these ancient languages from where we derive much of our understanding of our English language or the various European languages. So it was a given that you would do theology. Some people see that as a negative today. I remember watching a video the other day where this chap was saying, the schoolmen or the Middle Ages made everybody study theology, and you used to have to write a paper in order to be significant, and theology has lost its real strength because of that, because of the Middle Ages. And there were some weird things going on in the Middle Ages. It became very dead as a form of study. But there's still massive value in it because it gives you the basics. And once the basics are down, then you can begin to look at other ways of looking at the Bible. So Bible study is when we take the Bible and we really interpret from it what is there, using some of the tools that we've done so far and some more tools that we can do using the languages. But theology is when we start comparing what people are saying about this. Okay, about what God's word says. That's a useful way of understanding it. So we're doing theology in that we will look at it from various angles and try and get back to what those original writers and hearers would have got. So Thomas Aquinas is one of those terrible schoolmen, but yet a great theologian. Theology is taught by God, he said. He teaches of God. Theology teaches of God and must lead to God. Wrong theology has a disturbing effect on our relationship with God and on our relationship with one another. Poor theology is really the reason why this book and this course was developed, because we were in a situation, as I told you, where a theology had come in, or a teaching had come in, where somebody had taken, for instance, the word son and said it has a meaning as to relation to our sonship, and used the definition of that word in a very narrow range. So even if we use a word like elder, We realize that the word elder has a Greek background, that word, but also has a Hebrew background from where it comes from. And we're not wise if we just take one. Theology demands that we read all around the various inputs from those places of where that word comes from. So it's really the studying of the specifics of words and how they come about. And that's when the languages become useful. And that's when the tools become useful if we don't know how to work with all of the languages and their detail.